All right, so what's going on, y'all? It's me, Galen, back with a video, and we have a lot to talk about. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is genuinely how I've been feeling ever since I've seen it. I'm speechless. Genuinely, ever since I've seen that movie, I saw that movie yesterday. Every moment since I've seen that movie, I've just been at a loss. Immediately as the movie ended, the lights finally come on and I just sit there like this. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. So if you don't know, Across the Spider-Verse is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It goes into the story of Miles Morales, but in such a refreshing way. Spider-Man is bit by a spider. We all know that it goes. The characters that didn't exist before exist in his reality. They go through the story of good old-fashioned Spider-Man. Spider-Man becoming the hero. He is now coming into his own. But now, like I said, with him getting the powers, him coming into himself, he had to fight alongside and meet and experience the Spider-Man in different realities. Explaining that process and that situation and that experience with Miles Morales. That was arguably one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. Into the Spider-Verse was. Now, if you can imagine the advancement of everything I mentioned in the first one, the twist in the story, the twist in art, the twist in animation, Miles Morales is a story that's not usually told. It's usually Peter Parker. So imagine improving upon every aspect, artistry, story, animation. Imagine improving that in every way. This is what happened in Across the Spider-Verse. So the movie begins with Gwen and I guess the diving into her backstory. We all know Spider-Man. We all know Spider-Man's story. Spider-Man, he gets bit by a spider. One day, someone dies. He starts saving the world. That is the basis of every Spider-Man story. But in the beginning of this, we just see the stuff that's personal to Gwen and her story. Even just the beginning of this movie, there are so many moments where art and characters play such a big role. Not like it's outshining anything, but it is just so stunning and fascinating how these moments are done. The dialogue is so real, so memorable. I wasn't watching an animated movie. I was watching a story that happened to be animated, if that makes any sense. The way these moments and these events are depicted is so real, so genuine, and so human. It's just a film that just happens to be animated. And also, it's not dialogue, it's not events, it's not action without, a direction. Gwen is not the main character, she is one of the main characters. But we see how Gwen is woven into the story, how her story is just as important to Miles' story. And also during this is showing the beginning of this Miles Morales journey. It begins with him fighting, a pretty normal average villain that you would think, right? The villain presented itself like it usually does, just doing some random ass crime in like the middle of the day. Like I think the villain was stealing out of a store. Something very basic, but the story that it builds upon is just amazing. So it starts with the villain being a lowly villain, and as the story goes on, you see how this villain is directly correlated to Miles' story. It's directly correlated to why Miles happened, when it happened, and it's the direct reason for the villain's sole mission, sole purpose. Just so important to the story and who Miles is and the Spider-Verse and just everything that this story becomes. It's not until later that you find out how this builds into such a bigger issue, a bigger thing. As the story begins, it tells, the origins of this villain and, just the introduction to a villain, like usual. Also, during this, Miles is Miles. He's Spider-Man, a kid in high school trying to go to college. Everyone who's been in high school has experienced that or know what that could feel like. But Miles, Spider-Man, the story is him always trying to balance being Brooklyn Spider-Man, being a student, being a son. Miles is young. Like Miles is I think 15, 16. At 15 and 16, the responsibility of a whole city being put on your shoulders, you would not be able to do that. Also, during that time, you're just growing so much, and you see that during the dialogue had in this movie. Just the characteristics of a teen just being displayed through Miles. The display of emotion with the art style, with the dialogue, it was so personal. It was so connected. I was so invested in what was happening, what Miles was going through, the emotion, the feelings. And then during this time is when Gwen, Spider-Man, they are back. It then goes into Gwen coming back into Miles' dimension and just catching up. Gwen is part of a whole Spider-Man society, to which if I was also a Spider-Man, I would also be like, I mean, why have they came and got me then? And she like, no, it's kind of complicated. Like, imagine you're a Spider-Man and someone's telling you you can't be a part of a Spider-Man society. Do that make sense to y'all? No, it doesn't. So it didn't make sense to Miles. During this time, they're catching up. She's telling about the society. Her story of being, you know how Spider-Man just so happened into this society. A villain from another verse comes into Gwen's society, tries to wreck shit. So through this villain, you find out that, you know, there's an entire society of Spider-Man and they fight crime together. They fight through dimensions, you know, regular Spider-Man stuff. But during this villain is when the introduction of Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, and Spider-Woman, well, a Spider-Woman, they pop into her dimension. They pop into her verse. They help her stop this villain. And through that, they, I guess, recruited her. And for 3 months, she's been fighting until up to when she sees Spider-Man, which is not at all what it seemed for Miles. You find out later that, you know, she saw Miles, but she was there to really scope out this newfound dimensional enemy, this newfound threat to society. The same lowly villain that I said Spider-Man fought earlier. She tells him about the society. She then kind of just leaves, you know, abruptly. And then Miles being Miles follows her into this dimension, and then after is when it's just non-stop story building, non-stop action. Miles then goes to this different society and is of course met with another group of Spider-Man, Spider people, and Miles, he interferes. He interferes with a story that you can't interfere with, and that's the story of Spider-Man. And this causes a chain reaction of things through him going through this dimension and end up fighting in a battle he's not supposed to be in. Finds a few more Spider-Man, which one of them being Obi, which seems like, you know, just a really cool ass side character. And it turns into him being like a crucial part of this story. Throughout this, the art style of every Spider-Man, it's not like it's different Spider-Man characters in a Spider-Man movie. It's like the entire presence of their verse in another verse. Like, it's not just the character. Like, imagine seeing a comic book character and a live action character by each other. You would think that would not look good, but the way the art is in this movie is just, the way everything is throughout this movie will have you questioning, is this the best Spider-Man I've ever seen? Is this the best animated movie I've ever seen? Is this the best Marvel movie I've ever seen? Like, genuinely, the actions and the things that happen in this movie and the art, the animation, I haven't felt this way since Infinity War. And this has nothing to do with deaths and the introducing of different characters and characters from different verses, different planets, universes. I haven't felt a new feeling like that since Infinity War. The emotions I felt during this movie were new. That is the main thing. This is a new movie. This is a new genre of movie. It's animation, but it's just so much past that. If you could say something is better than animation, like this was animated, but just to a level I've never seen before. We end up in the society of the Spider-Man. It is revealed to Miles his story that he was not aware of, a path that he was not aware of, choices that he made, consequences that he was not prepared for. Even just that simple battle was costly to the entire dimension. Through all the characters shown, all the cameos, all the different Spider-Man shown in this movie, which I believe that in a lot of Marvel films and a lot of movies that it's like interdimensional characters, that is a crucial part of that film being amazing. With Across the Spider-Verse, it's more like just like a cherry on top. The story writing, the animation, everything was already perfect. And then you combine that with these different characters, these different Spider-Man from different universes that we just know and love so well that even just seeing it for a second, it connects us to the movie even more. It didn't make this movie. With these characters, the art style, the surprises, and the characters you will see if you go see this movie, I'm begging you. It just accentuates everything that's happening. And it accentuates the story, Miles' story, the finding out of his reality of his existence as Spider-Man and Miles being Miles, Spider-Man being Spider-Man. I won't spoil it, but if someone told you the things that Miles was told, any person would reasonably want to try to combat that, want to try to change, want to try to fix things. And this society is essentially telling him, you cannot do that. I don't know about y'all, but if you tell me something about my life that I didn't know, that everyone else knew, I'm gonna be mad regardless. I'm probably not gonna listen to anything you say. And that's exactly what Miles was thinking. The movie ends with him trying to save his story, him trying to be the fixer that Spider-Man always is. He comes to a problem. The most unexpected problem you could ever think of. Spider-Man is finna face a challenge that we've never seen before. I hate that I have to wait a year to figure out how this is resolved. Like, that was my main takeaway from this whole movie, is that you tell me I have to wait a year. Like, the cliffhanger that I was left on, I would say it was more like if you were in the middle of a flight on a plane, and during the middle of the flight, they told you had to jump off. You had to jump off. That's what this felt like. This felt like imagine in real life someone saying, all right, so it is now time to exit the plane. You're like, what? Excuse me? Say what? You are just stuck on such a cliffhanger. The way I feel about this movie, I've never felt. The only thing that comes close is Infinity War and Endgame. And with that statement, anyone who's seen those movies, you know that you just never felt anything like that. And this movie also being just a perfect setup to the next movie. I've never wanted to see a movie right now so bad. The runtime of the movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes. That was the only problem. I felt like, where's the other 3 hours that I need? I need more. I need more. And that's how you're gonna feel. You're gonna feel so excited, so eager to see the next movie. I'm saying this, I'm 100% serious. Might go down as the best Spider-Man trilogy we've seen. You heard me. The best Spider-Man trilogy we have seen. With the story, it is stuff I'm finding out today from Into the Spider-Verse that connects to Across the Spider-Verse. I just saw the movie yesterday. Across the Spider-Verse has so many things to love. The intimacy, the connection you have with the characters, Gwen and Miles, the story development along with the characters, Peter Parker, the Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse, a new unsung hero, Obi, such a dynamic and exciting character. It was so, he was just so cool. He was just so cool. Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Woman, all these characters just help build this story. The animation and art styles for every Spider-Man, for Miles universe, for the dialogue, so beautifully done. The dialogue felt like a movie that happened to be animated. It felt real, it felt connected, conscious, just everything you feel in your heart and as an emotion, you felt it in these dialogues, through the art in the dialogue. Every element of the story was accentuated by the other. The art and the animation only accentuated the dialogue and the story and the emotions you felt, you could see through the animation. The movie was perfect. If you ever hear me say that about a movie again, you either need to check me or you need to be like, okay, maybe he's onto something. I don't have a negative really thing to say about this movie other than the fact that it's not 3.5 hours. I won't feel complete until next year. I won't. I'm telling you that now. I will think about this movie until next year. Marvel, Sony, Spider-Man, Miles, you've outdone yourself. I didn't even get to the cameos. The cameos were so beautifully done. And like I said, every art style from every Spider-Man felt like just their entire essence was of their universe. Beautiful animation, beautiful story, beautiful everything. Amazing. Amazing. I'm gonna try to end it there because I believe I will reasonably talk about this for hours and hours. So I'm gonna stop here. When I tell you, I'm probably gonna go see Across the Spider-Verse again today. There's no telling how many times I see this movie because I do not feel whole right now. It is a space in me that emotionally I just can't get over. I just can't. I can't, bro. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 10 out of 10. Amazing. I loved it. Amazing. No, I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully you haven't got this far in the video, but go see this movie. Forget what I'm talking about. Go see this movie and then come back. Or if not, just after you press that to turn off YouTube, you go see this movie. I'm so serious. Please, I'm begging you, go to see this movie. Amazing. I loved it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this review, reaction, whatever you want to call it, because I don't know what to call it. Thank you for everyone who subscribed. Love you. Love my Spider-Man gang. We locked in. I literally wore this yesterday and I woke up. I had to wake up and just record this video. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Go see Spider-Man. We out.